Alright, on to part 2 of the Piro video. So we'll do some of the comments, just because they're really very irritating. So anyway, so hop to today. Law is made in the hard cases. Any a-hole can think themselves wise, and a philosopher only dealing with simplistic scenarios and ignoring complexity by definition is superficiality. Well, again, you're missing the point. The point of the argument is how do you demonstrate the existence of something, and you can demonstrate its existence with the simple and the extreme, and that's just the truth of it. The outline is what you use to prove its reality. Again, detail is another subject. Missed the point entirely as usual. Bravo. You think Gaza, I don't know what a Gaza is, would get this stuff by now. Herp a derp. Yeah, crazy basement. Yeah, change your name, asshole. Really. You're a triangle that's what, smokes reefer? Yeah, perfect. Why should I listen to you? Oh yeah, absolutely no reason at all. Yeah, too bad I can't block you from here. Adam O'Shea guy, yeah, this guy posted some crap on my videos, I remember. Just complete holistic nonsense, bibble babble, leprechaun logic. You know, leprechauns have magic powers. Okay, fine, you say so. Let's see. Surely one of the most oft quotes of Nietzsche about Übermensch and the need for man to overcome man demonstrates non-nihilism. Well, I think that's just superficial. He says a lot of crap. Okay, he talks about nihilist here and there, and the dangers of nihilism. But that doesn't matter. Okay, the fact of the matter is that he's certainly a moral nihilist. He certainly obliterated the existence of value. So anyway, now we'll do to be serious, the snarky bitch. Yes, I'm going to call you a snarky bitch, because that's what you are, and you're an asshole, and I'm sorry, but that's all you deserve, okay? I mean, you're rude. You're an obnoxiously rude bitch. You have lied about me in the past. You malign people, their credibility and their character, and then you think you should get some sort of right to do that. I mean, you're a pretentious, obnoxious, ego-driven bitch. Period. And Nietzsche would have a fine opinion of you. Yeah. Nihilism is complicated. It is a mistake to try to make it simpler than it is. Nietzsche makes it clear in his writing that nihilism... Well, I should probably start down here. Well, it doesn't matter. Well, inevitable and necessary, and it does create a state of tension and de-equilibrium, but it must be temporary. Oh, okay, it's temporary philosophies. Let's all have temporary philosophies. Yeah, that's cool. Either we give birth to a new way of valuing new forms of believing, or we perish. Well, again, that's the argument here. So you're just saying, well, again, reality sucks, so let's just make up a lie and live by it. Okay, fine. I think that's absolute bullshit. Also, I wish somebody would explain to Amendum the limitations of logic. Okay, yes, so you're going to say logic is limited. What's it limited by? Oh, that's right. Let's see. You either have an unassailable premises. Is it limited by that? No. I'm pointing out I can give you unassailable premises. Assail them. You won't do that. And what I'm saying is the rest of the logic built on those unassailable premises is just as unassailable. So logic wins. And certainly it has limitations in that you can't lie and make up bullshit. Yeah, that's its limitation. It excludes lies and nonsense. So yeah, you're out of luck. And why his claims that subjective states, so here we go, subjective states of discomfort can be claimed as logically proves don't work. As logical proofs, I guess you meant to say. If I do it, he will scream that I'm a stupid lying cunt, or something equally predictable. Yeah, well, I just point out that how patronizing do you have to be? I need something explained to me? No, you people can't do this yet? I've been saying the same shit for 6 fucking years on YouTube. If you got some argument that value doesn't exist, that it's all subjective, well then why don't you point it out? And I would again argue to you, why the fuck are you advising other people not to eat meat, not to harm poor animals if the harm doesn't mean anything, you stupid bitch? Oh, that's right, because you're a duplicitous hypocrite. You don't think it's the truth. You don't think it's anything more than your subjective opinion that it's bad, and yet you're trying to convince somebody else that they should have your subjective opinion? Well, that sounds like complete goddamn egomaniacal nonsense. That's like telling other people to have your hairstyle, or your silly personality, or your trivial eye color choice. I mean, what the fuck? Who the fuck are you to tell anybody about your subjective personal likes and dislikes? That doesn't sound like philosophy to me. Either you have a philosophical theory or you have a bunch of personal crap you want to extend on the internet. All right? Do your social networking. Don't call yourself a thinker or a philosopher if that's your fucking definition. If you think cows are just subjectively going, moo, moo, that hurts, then fuck you. If you think it doesn't mean anything, fuck you and your damn fucking argument. Your argument is vacant. Anyway, if there's no truth value, there's no value in communicating it. None. So anyway, obviously, I don't need one of you fucktards. Go ahead. Take your shot. Explain to me how suffering doesn't suck. Again, the thought experiment is not that complicated. Give me the logical reason why somebody would have rational cause not to recognize the distinction between 6 million Jews in a concentration camp, 6 million Jews eating cupcakes. No other superfluous mechanisms going on, no puppet strings, no other interaction. It's just 100 years of concentration camp or 100 years of eating cupcakes happily, okay, and all that entails. That's it. There's nothing else. You tell me how somebody rationally presses the concentration camp button. You explain to me why anything couldn't logically understand it's better to hit this other button. Explain it to me. Explain how there's logic there. And then I'll point out to you there, subjectivity conversation is now over. It's an absolute fact. It's an absolute truth. There's no way you can assail that truth. It can't be assailed. It can't be climbed. It can't be bridged. It can't be blown up. It's a solid damn wall. It exists. It's a fact. Value is real. It is not subjective. Fuck. These people are dumb as sticks. Star of Sagittarius. She's a little fucktard. She's wasting time arguing with that guy. When we recognize truth, we see all the bullshit that encompasses. If you were born-again Christian or centered in exactly, I care about suffering without making any substantiated claims that we can... Oh man, this is just written so badly. I can care about suffering without making any unsubstantiated claims that we can derived some infallible logical doctrine about suffering from evolution. Well, who's doing that? Did I say evolution proves that suffering sucks? Oh, I don't think I ever said that. What I said is my thought experiment proves that suffering sucks, and that it sucks for real. And there's no doubt about it, that it's definitely suckier than eating cupcakes, and we definitely can know the difference, and it's an absolute fact, and only somebody who is insane and crazy could possibly find cause to press the more suffering button. Oh, man. Fuck you. People are dumb. Let's see. Subjective impressions of science. I'm not going to mess with that. Nietzsche again. Come on, man. Yeah, really. In fact, puzzle language, unblocked 30 years. Even Piro's talking a bunch of leprechaun crap in here. Yeah, there's nothing else meaningful or useful. So anyway, but yeah, please, somebody else explain to me how the thought experiment doesn't prove value exists. Just go ahead. Demonstrate it to me. You won't be able to do that. Sorry, fucktards, you failed.
Automatically is concluded as better. From your point of view, some of those things are probably true from your point of view. Some of them are wrong, even from your point of view. Really be nihilists, they can't not have value systems. They get one built in from their, biological desires and needs and drives.
Right, a value system built in from your biological needs, drives, and desires is perfectly subject to critique. Obviously, the source of that value system would be skeptical, would be subject to skepticism, because there is no intelligent designer. It's evolution, so obviously it doesn't have a brain, and you could judge whether the values it imposes are any way relevant, meaningful, and coherent to logical math. Whether it's a good game that nature made.
And it seems like there's a lot of options. And no, I haven't seen yours be the one that automatically is concluded as better. From your point of view.
Well, again, you're talking about your subjective game theory of personal existence in the context of a philosophical description of, okay, is value a real component of the universe? I think I've established, yes, it's a real component of the universe. It is a real property that sentient creatures produce. By having value states, by having a welfare, they create value by having a welfare state. That's just the way it is. By feeling, you create value. Feeling things create value. Not as a thought, but as an action. By feeling, they create value.
Some of those things are probably true from your point of view. Some of them are wrong, even from your point of view. You're not taking everything into account that you think or know. You want to pretend there's one, well, even if it was true, it's never going to work out because everybody...
Well, even if it was true, it's never going to work out. Well, there you go. So another one of these kind of the argument from it'll never work out, so let's make up shit. Okay, even if it is true. No, you just don't do that, okay? You're either a philosopher and you're pursuing truth or you're not. Okay, so if you're pursuing something else besides the truth, then fuck you. That's like to be serious, and she's one of these utilitarian scientists. Science has to have a purpose. The purpose is to somehow it'll work for us. Creating things that work is science's job. Work for what? Work for a tiger tank so Adolf Hitler can run over Jews all the quicker? I mean, work how? Work to what end? Work for what purpose? Come on, that doesn't mean anything. Working? Yeah, working? What kind of clock are we? What kind of clock is the human race? No, it ain't no fucking clock. It ain't telling no time. Okay? It's making a lot of blood and guts squirt out of things. That's what human beings do. Why would you want that to work? Why would you want the machine that grinds up suffering and wastes it and squanders it because it has no appreciation for it? Why would you say, I want to make that machine work? I wouldn't want that machine to work. I want that machine to fail.
He thinks they have the one, and they couldn't all have it. But some of us just think, well, no, there's more than one.
Well, whatever. You can see, we think there's more than one truth, and so we don't care about that rule about non-contradiction. So fuck the rule about non-contradiction. We're going to be contradictory. Go ahead. All right? But be what you are, beyond logic and reason. That'll be the title of my next video. Beyond logic and reason. That's all you're doing. You blow up good and evil, and then you blow up logic and reason. Fine. Call yourself philosophers. We, the, what? Phantasmagoricals, declare ourselves independent of reality. That's what free thinking means. Free spirit means I don't have to be real. I can be a lying scum. I can make up whatever I want. La 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 la. And you'll just go stomping through the, whatever, the entrails. Fuck you.
There's more than one. There's more than one way to be ethical. There's more than one set of rules that are making that you could be a decent person.
Yeah, there's more than one way to get from New Jersey to California, but there's the straightest route and then there's the less straight routes, right? There's the most efficient road to the truth and there's the least efficient road. I mean, come on, all right? That's just the way it works. And if you want to find the real efficiency in this equation that we're in, it's really just a mess-making engine, so stop making messes, and that's the easiest fix. Don't break it, we don't got to fix it.
With, there's more than one. It's better analyzed that way because that's the situation we're in, and some of us think, you know what, and that's going to be the situation. Sure, we can eliminate a lot of things like fascism and slavery and things that we don't want to allow, and we can come up with all the reasons, and they're all perfectly valid. And there'll be more than one way to prove that Nazism is wrong.
Yeah, well, it matter though, because if you don't do it with any kind of definition of efficiency, it just doesn't going to do you any good. So you can say, yeah, let's eliminate it by cutting our own nose off to spite the face of fascism. So yeah, you'll gut yourselves in your process because you have no ability to remain true to the truth. And the truth is the only way that you're going to be able to do this with any kind of coherency to the math. The math is rather demanding. All right? So, yeah, you just don't have the liberty to just waste. There's a confined amount of energy that human beings can put into this thing, and there's a product. And the idea is to put in as little energy as possible and get the most product as possible. And you're not going to do that if you don't understand what gasoline is, so to speak, as a metaphor. If you don't know where it comes from, what it's made out of.
In that case. So eating cake is not either good or bad. If you're diabetic,
well, again, like I said, there's a simple purpose for the thought experiment. It's a simple function. It's just saying, look, there's the outline. We can define it. There's the perimeter. It's there. We can establish the truth of it with this simple statement that you cannot logically explain how you can't see the difference. The distinction is visible. We know the value difference. We can see it. Everything can see it. Anything that can't see it, we can comfortably declare it insane, because it will not be able to come up with a rational reason, okay, to press the bad button.
Bad, if you're not, it could be good. If you don't like it, it's indifferent, and so on. It's not automatically good. It's automatically better than having your toenails pulled out, but those are the examples.
Well, I don't, look, again, this is just not, I should not have to say this 17 times. I've said it to your face in the debate room. I've said it in my videos. This experiment is for one purpose only. You want to keep changing its function, changing its purpose. You have to deal with the thought experiment as stated, just like you have to deal with the thought experiment about the difference, the distinction between the Martian planet with the suffering animals on it, the suffering creatures, let's call them, and the vacant planet with the non-existent happiness on it. Okay, and the clear fact is that you're going to know that when if you're going to go riding on the space fire truck to go on rescue missions, you're not going to go to the planet without happiness on it first. You're going to go to the planet with suffering on it first, and you goddamn know it. It's a fact. And it's a fact that has meaning. It means something that you know the right place to go is Mars first and not to Venus that's empty. You know it. You know that the suffering is more powerful than the absence of the pleasure. You know it.
It doesn't make it absolutely good or bad. You keep saying, oh, this is either good or bad. No. It's always in comparison.
Well, whatever. Of course it's always in comparison. It's exactly my point in my video is these statements. I mean, this is just so fucking irritating. Okay? Well, at least, okay, in the more recent video I've made even more clear. Okay? All you are is sinking in quicksand. You're either 10 feet deep in the quicksand or 7 feet or 6 feet or 3 feet, or you're right at the surface of the quicksand, but that's all you are. You're just in layers of quicksand. In some layer of the quicksand. And anyway, in all my videos, I've made it quite clear. A zero-sum game. I've already stated the fact that all there is negative territory, and you can be deeper and deeper and deeper into the negative territory. I've used dungeons as an example. I've used prisons. I've used basements. How can you keep giving me this argument that it's relative? Well, of course it's fucking relative. It's linear is what it is, jackass. That's right. It has a bottom and it has a top. Okay, but the top is what we're talking about. Is there a true good? I'm saying no, there's no true fucking goddamn good. There's no good you can produce inside of you that's going to compensate for somebody else's goddamn bad. You stupid fuck. All you're doing is getting yourself out of a basement. You're not picking anybody else up when you're doing it.
Being in a concentration camp versus being in a different concentration camp. One could be better than the other. And they're both bad. You haven't noticed that. You haven't been able to resolve what that means for your philosophy.
Oh, fuck you. I mean, really, I should say anything else but just a big, fat fuck you to you for this crap. That is just such a piece of shit. It has absolutely nothing. I've argued this over and over and over again. I don't need you preaching to me the fact that there's a difference between having 10 potato chips and having 2 potato chips. Fuck you!
General. So this is the common thing. You guys want there to be one value. There isn't.
We want. Now, fuck you, alright? It's either the fucking truth. You think I want the truth to be that I'm on a fucking planet of Dr. Moreau, that I'm on some sick, disgusting, putrid shithole with a bunch of selfish motherfucking cunts? No, I don't want that to be the truth. I don't want my mortality to be the truth. I don't want sickness and illness and all this shit to be the truth. It's the fucking truth, though, shithead. And what I do know is my silly goddamn ego ambitions and aspirations and desires are made out of complete, absolute motherfucking cunt shit.
We say so, and you say, oh, well, there must be none, because this is the only one you wanted, the one true one. Well, no, I'm sorry, there's infinite, and luckily there's patterns in the infinite one.
Oh, whatever, there's infinite. Infinite stories of bullshit. Yes, there's infinite lies you can tell. That's right, there's an infinite number of lies. There's a finite number of truths. That's fucking true. Lying cunt.
And it's not truth by consensus. It's not truth by consensus. I'm not willing to say it's absolutely wrong to steal for your children if they're starving. The thing is, when you talk over and over about values related to sentient things, it's obvious that sentient things bring a value system into the world.
No, that's not what I said. Again, value system into the world. What paraphrase? See, so at least I'm doing you the dignity of taking your exact fucking phrases, your exact fucking quotes, where you'll never find me saying the shit you're saying. This isn't about value systems, idiot. It's about value, not a system.
Nietzsche agrees with you. You just think you have figured out what those values have to be and all of that, and you haven't demonstrated that. And some of us think that...
I think I have absolutely demonstrated the fact that suffering sucks. I've proven suffering sucks. We can recognize the suck. If I put two cases of suck next to each other, you can definitely recognize the one that has more suck in it. There's just no doubt about it that it exists. It does have a value. It's there. Fuck you. I have proven it. You haven't counter-argued it with anything but your obnoxious, I say there's infinite values.
It's a bit more interesting of a situation. Two systems can solve the same problem. You can describe a parabola with Cartesian coordinates or radial coordinates.
Yeah, so what? The circumstantial fact that there's some demands that don't demand just one solution. There's more than one way to skin a cat, and there could be two different ways that are equally efficient in accomplishing the task. Okay, so that's to each task, though. Each task is going to have a different circumstantial limitations. All right, so, but the point of the argument here is that this value equation math is going to be much more narrow. We don't have a whole variety of choices in terms of where it fits on a scale. It will fit. We can niche these things by doing comparison by comparison by comparison by comparison by comparison. We can put them in their right place. We can order them by size. All right, it's a lot of work, but it can be done.
Which one's absolutely better? Well, some are easier and have simpler things. So by Occam's razor, in certain circumstances, one's better. In certain circumstances, another's better. But who's to say Occam's razor's better? It doesn't really matter, huh? We're using Occam's razor to save ourselves time. Is that better? Well, it saved me energy. So is that absolutely better? No. Sometimes people say, do it the long way. It's good for your character. Is that absolutely better? Is it absolutely worse?
Well, again, you're going to sit there and you're going to keep playing with the little tiny details in the fog that have no relevance to the big picture issue. All right, so go ahead, play your stupid little game, but I know what you're doing, okay? I mean, talking about the ticks walking around on the deer's ass is not talking about the deer, its lineage, its function, whether it's going to have a good day or not. So go ahead and argue about that nonsense, just like you'll go ahead and have some sort of conversation about what's happening on the quantum level to describe somebody's thoughts. Go ahead and play a game like that, but it has nothing to do with the reality. It has nothing to do with what we know to be the reality, as that just as our computers are not subject to quantum bullshit, so our brains are not subject to this quantum bullshit because it's in a size structure that has nothing to do with that nonsense. It's dependable and reliable because it's above that mechanism. So go ahead, make up bullshit, it's essentially just lying, okay? I'm not talking about this bullshit you're talking about. I'm talking about what's the basic mechanism, okay? It's a car. You want to talk about how thick the paint is. I'm saying, no, let's talk about how round the wheels are. Let's talk about how efficient it uses gasoline. Let's talk about whether we should turn the engine on or not, whether it's going to blow up or not, all right? So go ahead, change the subject, fucking cunt. But don't tell me you're doing something other than that. You're just changing the fucking subject.
Stupid questions. You often say, yeah, those don't really matter. Well, but epistemology applies to them because you say, oh, don't compare apples and oranges. Well, that's what a value system does. It's all apples and oranges. Do you like apples better or do you like oranges better?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is just idiotic, okay? No, do I like suffering? Do I like suffering black people or do I like suffering Mexicans? Let me think. I think I like to see the blacks eat the Mexicans or the Mexicans eat the blacks. There. That's logic, right? No. It's complete crap. So don't talk to me about your apple-orange crap. Don't do all this bullshit, okay? I've given you the simple math. I've given you the simple argument, okay, that we are in welfare states, and we can get to these welfare states through some elaborate nonsense. Like I could be a rich person. I could need $70,000 a day to be happy, okay, because I've become so extravagant and so preposterous. I need tons of makeup, and I need gold leaf on my fingernails. I need all kinds of bullshit just to get through my day without crying. All right, or I could be some simple guy who, eats a couple of saltine crackers and says, that's good. Now, which one's more efficient? Oh, duh.
A person's individual values do make that judgment. They go, well, I like apples better. Oh, I like oranges better. That's what value systems do.
Well, again, you can't say I like suffering Jew better than cupcake-eating Jew. Okay, this is not apples and oranges. Okay, what's being stated here quite clearly is this is what it absolutely is. All right, it's not an apple or an orange. It's a suffering Jew or a cupcake-eating Jew, and there's a fact that this thing is different than that thing, and the difference is this much stuff.
They mix apples and oranges. That's why it's so complicated. That's why some of us say that there's going to be a weird, like, transcendental number kind of property. Oh, infinite digits forever, or something complex like that.
Woo, 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 woo. Oh, yeah, you just stepped in some woo-woo there, buddy. Woo, 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 woo.
Something akin to an inherent complexity in the fact that humans suffer for apples, suffer for oranges, and somehow individual humans can figure that out.
Yeah, well, guess what? The argument is that you're not allowed to just figure it out because I proved to the thought experiment that you're not allowed to press the fucking Holocaust button. You're not allowed to press the Jews in the fucking concentration button because there's no rational, logical reason to do that. So you can't just say, I like oranges. It's not the answer. It's not on the test. Fail.
But we don't seem to have a rule system that can tell us exactly why that is. I'm really just trying to describe one person. The reality, rather, is that one person lives, and values in the real world. They're not all...
Again, who cares? It's not about what they value. Somebody is a Yankee fan versus a Red Sox fan, and now we're going to make some stupid distinction like one of them's actually valid. No, they're just stupid fans. And you might as well be a Dog Do fan, or a Cut Grass fan, or a Puffy Cloud fan. It's the fanning that is the reality. And if there's some simpler way, if they don't have to bother building the baseball field and putting it on cable TV and have the players all run around, get all sweaty and do all this crap, if there's some simpler way for you to get your fan fix, then yeah, let's give you the better heroin. Yeah, if there's a heroin out there that's just like heroin except it's not heroin, it has all the negative parts of heroin taken out of it, well yeah, let's give them that heroin.
Valid in the sense that if you were to say that any system's valid that doesn't contradict itself, which is the common relativistic approach to, well, how do we sort this out? Everything's not equal. You relate it to other systems and you use your value judgment. But how can you judge it in itself? You relate it to itself. Does it contradict itself? Does it cancel itself out? Because then with that,
it doesn't matter. The point is you have to recognize what's valuable. The point I'm making is we're judging car performance. We figured out what performance is. I've established what performance is. There's value. You don't want to squander it. You want to have as little concentration campishness as possible. That's the value we're judging in the performance of the car. So as the car comes off the assembly line, the theory of the person, when their theory comes to us, how much concentration campness are they producing? That's the question. That's the value judgment. That's how you judge their theory of value. If they produce a lot of concentration campism, they failed the test. Okay, that's all there is. There's just a relative comparison. How much concentration campism are you causing with that idiotic value system of yours? I can beat my wife because she's just a dumb bitch. Okay, well, I can judge your value system as being likely to cause a bunch of unnecessary wasted suffering, you motherfucking cunt, and I can say, no, you're not going to do that shit for brains.
Without leaving the system, you can say, oh, it's not good, it contradicts itself. Now that works pretty good, but someone could say, no, contradictions are good. But I don't have to say contradictions.
The only thing that's going to matter in the end, okay, is how much blood is pouring out of something's ears, okay? So fuck all this bullshit. The value is in the sentient organism welfare, and whether or not, and the end game is the long-term product, okay? That's all the world we're living in, and yes, a lot of it we can't predict what our exact effect is going to be, but we do know the probabilities that certain actions lead to certain outcomes, and we can judge them based on the likely outcomes and the level of the risk. And certainly another component of that risk is going to be this idea, okay, of imposition.
Predictions are good, and this allows me to judge hypocritical systems as such by a purely relativistic system, right? But if you find two systems that are different, they contradict. One says, hey, go to the left first. The other one says, hey, go to the right first. And they both get to the end. Which is better?
Well, like I said, there will be an answer to the question. And depending on the question, there can be different ways to do the end product, okay? If the end product is, let's kill Martin Luther King, okay, yeah, there'd probably be lots of ways you could do it, okay, without making collateral damage, with minimizing your capacity to get caught. All of those things go into the equation, but you can find lots of different strategies to get that thing done. That's not the subject we're on, okay? The subject we're on is, does value have an explicit component? Does it have a quanta? What I'm saying is, yes, it does have a quanta. And now we can debate different strategies of how we manipulate these quanta. But what I know for sure is, if somebody's suggesting, let's squander a big giant pile of risk and suffering for the ambition of putting happiness on Pluto, then I'm going to say, you're a fucking asshole.
I'm in an analysis system where, why have to decide that? Which is better? My guess is probably both of them are flawed, and there's a third system that's better than both of them, and but they're worth using now, so we use them and we test them and we look for the third.
Oh, well, duh. Again, I mean, I've made all these things, comparisons to like metaphors, even on the internet issue. I mean, the idea is to shorten lines, okay? Yeah, the line between consumption and production, make it as short as possible, as clean as efficient. Take the director's route. Okay, so there is a more efficient and less efficient, and we can make value judgments about categories of efficiency. And we don't have to know exactly what is perfect, we just have to know what is not good. Okay, so when we know something's overtly not good, we know not to do that. Shit. I mean, we know overtly inefficient, we know don't choose inefficient.
When there is no need to say, oh, by the way, but I have an idea, I want to prove it's the one idea, so I will make this argument that there has to be one, and then I won't demonstrate that my...
Well, whatever. You're sitting there judging the idea's efficiency rather than the point of the idea, which is establishing the existence of efficiency. I mean, this is just so stupid. You are arguing my philosophy as a whole rather than arguing the specific point that's being made. I mean, this is stupid.
Mine is the one, but since there is a one, it's a candidate. No. This logic just doesn't work like that in the real world.
Oh, fuck you. This was the most incoherent sack of shit.
You are a nuance
crap.
evader. Okay, I'm not hiding in nuance. You are a nuance evader. 99% of our...
Oh, I'm sorry. This is just idiotic. Okay, by definition, all right? It's idiotic by definition. You don't sit there and worry about mismanners, politeness, okay, when it comes to, let's say, I don't know, just say some emergency circumstance, okay? You're somebody's in need of medical care, and you know, you're going to waste time. Oh, I'll be really careful about how I take her clothes off so I don't see her boobs, and I'll do this and I'll do, and I'll make, you know, you don't do that shit. Okay, you just cut the crap off and do what you got to do because you don't want to waste any goddamn time, okay? So no, there's no time for nuance and bullshit. Yeah, we're talking about the overall function, and this fucking thing you're driving, this human race crap, okay, is an absolute motherfucking toxic piece of shit. All right, and you're going to sit there and tell me that I have to follow some sort of manners bullshit, that I have to get lost in all this nuance? No, I don't have to get lost in any of your goddamn nuance. I don't have to explain to every single dopey shit for brain human being why their personal philosophy is a pile of crap. All I have to do is prove that mine isn't.
Value judgments are apples versus oranges. Things that some people like, some people don't, some people...
Again, value judgments. Where would I waste my time with value judgments? That's not what this subject's about. The subject's about value. What's it made out of? All right, now we know what it's made out of. There's a thing called suffering, and there's this thing called elevated. Okay, actualized, satisfied. All right, now which one is worth what? What level of harshness are you going to impose for what level of advancement in some other category? So if you're going from a 3.2 to a 2.7, should you be allowed to force somebody else from a 6 to a 970? Negative numbers, of course.
Turns out they like them but didn't know they should have tried it sooner, or they tried it and they didn't like it and then started. I mean, all these permutations you must know about. And you want to ignore that you could call it nuance, but it's just a complicated maelstrom. It's not nuance per se. It's 99% of value judgments are unique and have an arbitrary whatever suits you nature to them.
Well, I'm sorry. That's for whatever. You can make that shit up all you want. I'm saying that with value, it fits into categories quite easily. I know what kind of state I'm in. I either have a toothache or I don't have a toothache. I either have cancer, I don't have cancer. I mean, these aren't complex definitions of states of being. I mean, I'm either obsessed with some unsatisfied ambition or I'm not obsessed with some unsatisfied ambition. You know, I'm either horny or I'm not horny. I'm hungry or I'm not hungry. This is just bullshit.
So value systems inherently mix apples and oranges. And it's like you say, consider being the masochist, and you could tell you wouldn't want to be one. Yeah, I judge it that way. That's comparing masochism to, like, break down my own values to minimalist, put myself in that shoe, and see does it suit me. I'm comparing it really to my system or my minimal system reduced.
Oh, I'm not going to argue this shit. You use the argument as if masochists enjoyed suffering, and that's not what they're doing. So fuck you.
So, and I see, like you, okay, I don't want to live in that state. That doesn't mean I should just ignore the systems and ideas of someone that does decide to live in that state. If that state doesn't go away and there's people like that, I'm not going to ignore it. I'm going to take it into account.
Whatever. Who's ignoring it? I'm saying it's not a valid argument to say that suffering doesn't exist, okay? So again, I pointed out why this isn't a good example, because it's not a person in a euphoric state, okay? Masochists are not euphoric. They're not winning. They're losing. They're losing double. God damn it. Your argument was they're winning. I'm saying, no, they're not winning. I proved my point. They're not winning, you shit for brain.
I'm going to actually look for a system that one of them can express, that's expressive, hopefully the most articulate one or whatever, that could actually state the system in a true enough way that I could go and get a handle on what's going on there. Whether to change them, or possibly when I find that system, it's like, oh, I guess some people are like that. But I think masochism is a problem, so I'm inclined to think, well, if I did find that out, we'd use that to help cure them of their masochism. It doesn't really matter whether...
This is not the subject of the video, and it's certainly not the subject of your fucking use of the word masochism. Your use was in a completely different context, and now you're deciding I'm going to go on a preposterous tangent and kind of imply that somehow you didn't fully explore the subject of masochism. My video's not about masochism, you stupid cunt. You brought it up, and I'm telling you it's nonsense and not related for the purpose you brought it up for. But I don't want to get into a discussion about it. You waste your time on that shit, another motherfucker.
It's proved that masochism is inappropriate or wrong. It just doesn't matter. I mean, my value system is such that I view a state of masochism as an unhealthy state. So I would work against that. There's no reason I can't respect someone else.
This again, this isn't why you use the fucking word, you stupid cunt. You use the word to negate the idea that suffering is bad, that suffering sucks. Fuck.
There's also a point where I'm going, really, am I getting into your business because I'm just trying to help you? And they're like, well, it's no help, leave me alone. And I might go, geez, well, that's a shame. I hate to see that going on in the world, but okay. And I'm saying that assuming that, no, they really probably do have a psychological thing to cure. But then you get into cake versus ice cream, chocolate versus vanilla, apples versus oranges.
Oh, all you're getting into is you're not even going by, like, let's see if we can sew some wings on pigs and make them fly. You're going right to the turd asylum. You're going right to the cesspool and saying, let's see if we can make absolute shit fly. Let's sew wings on shit. Because the shit needs to be free. This is just bull fucking goddamn shit. None of this crap should have been crapped in the first place. Let's talk to the things producing the crap and figure out whether they have some excuse for crapping. Instead of fucking sewing wings on shit.
Being out of the concentration camp in the mud, dying 3 days later, versus in the concentration camp for another 2 weeks and getting liberated by the Allies. There's a lot of complicated situations. A really good value system, a epistemological...
Yeah, duh, and that's exactly what I stated. Again, the purpose of the fucking thought experiment wasn't to get into the details. It was just to recognize the outline, just to establish the fact that there's something in the fog, it's big, it's moving, it's there, it's in the reality. Now let's try to figure out what it is. But let's not pretend it doesn't exist. It's in reality. It's not a figment of our imagination. It's not something we get to make up. It's there in reality to be described. That was the purpose of my thought experiment, and you don't want to deal with that purpose. That's the simple, obvious truth here. Instead of giving me the counter-rational argument explaining how the thought experiment doesn't prove what it proves, you're changed the subject and are talking nonsense. Let's see what I can make up in my imagination and say is reality. No, that's not the task here.
System has to address those. You can't just ignore those and go, but even if you are diabetic, you'd like to have cake better than be in a concentration camp. I'd rather have my toe hammered, my left toe hammered, and my right toe hammered. You can tell me, well, that's wrong. It just doesn't actually matter. No, it does, because I have a special pain in this one.
Right, well then it still doesn't matter, because your special pain would mean there's extra quanta of suffering, which means that that's the choice. The choice is made by which one produces more unpleasantness, and that's it. And it's just trying to qualify the exact shape of the unpleasant quanta. It has a shape, it has a form, and it's sort of something we sort of have to get a handle on to be able to put them into their proper order, to be able to do the explicit math. But again, I'm saying, for my purposes, for the purposes of my philosophy and the arguments I'm making, I don't have to get that explicit. I can show you that there's no way to run a profit. There's no net way to win this game. You can only lose it in gradations of failure. You can fail colossally or you can fail minimalistically, but that's all there is fail. The only solution is to change the game or get out of the game. And there's no way you're going to change the game. The nature of the beast, the nature of the function of desire makes the game fail.
Or I walk a certain way where I put more weight on this one. And you're going to go, well, that doesn't matter. That's a subtlety. It's an apple to an orange. I want to compare giving people cake to putting them in concentration camps. Never has been. The choice was leaving them in ghettos or putting them in concentration camps. Deal with that choice. That's a real one. That's one that really happens.
No, the choice is I'm going to put a nuclear power plant in your backyard. That's your fucking choices, okay? You're saying you have a right to take a risk with somebody else's welfare for some purpose that you think you're going to accomplish. I want the energy. I'll put the nuclear power plant in your backyard. There's a 1 in 100 chance it goes fucking radioactive and you get totally fucked over. Otherwise, I'll give you some free energy if I get it. Yeah, you didn't want anything to do with any of it. You didn't want to play the game. You didn't ask to show up. You didn't ask to blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm just going to decide for you that if you get the short straw, it was worth it because I got what I wanted. Well, fuck you. That's even an irrational equation. Look, stay on the subject. The subject isn't your nuanced bullshit. I mean, whether it's better to, whatever, to 2 girls in boiling oil is better than 3 girls in, Sasquatch's molesting hands. I'm not talking that shit. You want to waste your time with that shit? You go waste your time about that shit. I'm a fucking Efilist. I'm talking about the act of creation and the existence of life on this planet and what the fuck it is. It's a fucking replicating molecule running a deficit. That's my argument. Counter-argue with something relevant to that subject or shut the fuck up. Talk to some fucking buddy else, but I don't want to do this bullshit. I don't want to be talking about whether blue t-shirts are better than green t-shirts. Fuck you.
So, in your premise of minimal sanity, I don't know what your faith in humans is. Who has this minimal sanity? But fuck that. You're never going to be able to define minimal sanity. It's just insane that for you to even think that you could base things on that. It's like, we have an absolute rule. First, define sanity. That everybody that's sane follows the same rules.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, I use that in the context that you have to be able to pass this certain test. If you can't pass this test, your judgment is completely and totally broken. You either get reality right or you get it wrong. If you get it totally wrong, you are going to be insane. Whether you call yourself that, whether society calls yourself that, doesn't matter. You're fucking insane. You were insane as a slave owner to think you were winning, that you were accomplishing something good by owning slaves. You were obviously running a huge human deficit, a huge suffering deficit. You were fucking idiotic, insane, crazy to think that was win. It wasn't win. It wasn't even close to win. What I'm saying is that there's the minimum. The minimum is now defined by the fact that we've established that you have to be able to tell the difference between 6 million Jews in a concentration camp and 6 million Jews eating cupcakes. If you can't tell the difference between those two things, you don't pass the minimum sanity test. You're just too stupid to be bothered with.
Yeah, only if you rig that sanity. Because you just don't get that its values are apples and oranges. And the question is, how do we have such a complex, almost mathematical system of values and processing values and turning situations as word problems into value problems and back and forth? How do we do that when it basically comes down to a lot of apple and oranges comparisons? That's the question that we...
Yeah, well, you've used this metaphor so many times. This isn't apples and oranges, okay? They're not physical things in reality. Value is not a physical thing. So making this comparison of obvious things that are apples and oranges isn't going to really work. And what's being established is there's one thing. There's value. There's not apples and oranges. Okay? It just isn't. There's no way to orange the apple, okay, that is... concentration camp sucks. There's no way to apple that orange. It's a fucking orange. It's a fucking suck. It's in the category. It's nailed in there. It's never going to be an apple. You can't be talking about apples.
Are facing now. He basically has a pessimistic thing. He was not advocating. He was not advocating this domination game, will of power. He advocated things like make good art and like Epicurus, express your inner spirit.
Yeah. Root for the home team. You know. Pursue, pursue, pursue. Sleep with 3,000 women instead of 2,000. Love them and leave them the best that any lover and leaver has ever loved them and leaved them before. Beat your wife colossally. I mean, not just give her a black eye, but break her skull. Go all the way. Be a Nietzsche wife beater. Yeah, do it the Nietzsche way. Fuck you.
But he happens to be pessimist like you. And he's saying, hey, it's a big domination struggle. You want to understand it? That's how you understand it. You want to have something else? Okay, we'll start by understanding that's what it is now, and the fact that if you want to make a peaceful world, then you have a particular drive that is peaceful. It's going to have to dominate. It's going to have to win the domination game to make a world with less domination.
Well, whatever. It's not a domination game again. This isn't even anywhere close to the reality either. Okay? You don't have to secure, the means don't have to be domination. The means can be seduction. There's whips and there's carrots, okay? So, yeah, you can play the game both ways, and that's not something Nietzsche wants to talk about. He just wants to talk about the whip, the power of the whip. He doesn't want to talk about the power of the carrot.
So you might as well admit there's going to be certain kinds of domination, and this is why, like, the domination of good art, where art inspires people and shapes, might be a way to sort that out. On the other hand, he's kind of pessimistic. Maybe there isn't a way to sort it out.
Yeah, all candy anyway. This is all just candy, okay? All we need is to get rid of our desire for candy. And you don't have to make no candy.
Maybe only the individual can navigate it, and it'll never be good overall. And you judging him and saying that he advocated that kind of world that he described, that he cynically recognized in the world, it's like you need to think in 150 years, should your philosophy be remembered. And people will be judging you based on what people that made videos about what you said. And they'll get the idea that you advocated consumption and reproduction. They'll say, and Menham said the world was consumption, production, and reproduction.
No, you know what? That wouldn't happen, okay? Because I have been clear. Nietzsche didn't say anything. Again, you're ignoring the fact that Nietzsche is a sneaky philosopher. He doesn't say anything about what is, he just talks about what isn't. He talks about how everything else is flawed instead of talking about how he's right. I'm advocating for a direct, overt, aggressive statement of what the truth is. I'm not saying you're wrong just because for the sake of saying you're wrong. I'm saying here's the fucking why you're wrong is because this is right. And I'm giving people the this. So don't tell me I'm going to be as subject to misinterpretation as Nietzsche was. Nietzsche was really, really, really a difficult read and pretty much incomprehensible 90% of the time.
And someone will go, oh no, but that's not really, he was an advocate, he was just saying it sucks, and that's how we know it sucks. And they'll point out, no, he said it was natural. And then, my type will be going, well, he said it was natural, but he didn't mean natural in that sense of it's justified because it's natural. He was actually kind of saying...
Well, look, you're all malicious liars, okay? Nietzsche's being destroyed by people that aren't even malicious liars. But again, it's more about the fact that you just sit there reading Nietzsche, and you just keep... You're aching for him to say something direct. Say something direct. Will you quit talking indirect? Will you quit implying? He talks as if... 1 minute you don't know whether he's saying, well, that's as bad as having your shoes untied, or whether he's saying that's as bad as killing 10 million Jews. You don't know the difference. You don't know what critique he means with any kind of authority and any kind of impact, or what critique is just a fluffy little pile of, I'm just spitting in their direction.
And it's not justified because natural stuff isn't automatically justified. And they'll go, no, that's bullshit. My professor told me. And Menham is famous for saying that it's just natural to consume. You might as well consume other creatures. You might as well be a cannibal even, because all eating is cannibalism. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, if somebody does that in the future, I think there will be advocates who'll be able to point out how that's just a grotesque lie, and here's the quotes from Inmendum to prove it. Okay, the problem is Nietzsche's quotes suck. Okay, that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well, except if it's something like syphilis and it makes you blind, you know, but you're being cured, but you're still blind. That ain't going to do you much good. Yeah, fuck you and that bullshit. Fuck you. I mean, that was just, I don't even know why you wasted my time with this end argument. Okay, there's a huge difference between the philosophy I'm offering and Nietzsche. Nietzsche is this vague nonsense built on concepts that are just on their face preposterous, beyond good and evil. Doesn't make any sense. Will to power, no. No. Will to satisfaction, will to comfort, will to, you know, give me a good hamburger kind of bullshit. That's what people are living for. Give me a good hamburger and a team to root for and a soft, comfy chair. Yeah, they're all happy. They don't need no power. They just need their frickin' hamburger. Fuck. I mean, people are really easy to placate. You just give them crap. You give them Walmart, and they're all happy, pappy people. Fuck you. Give them something preposterous. Just give them nonsense and rubbish, and they'll say, "Oh, good. It's automatically good." Yeah, you know. Basketball boobs. Oh yeah, more. Rah rah rah. Sponge finger in the air. Yay for the basketball boobs.
They'll have no need to watch your videos because they'll already know what you think. Because they'll have heard it.
Well, obviously you haven't heard it. I mean, obviously, like I said, it is reducible. It's not that complicated. Most of the Efilist videos are pretty direct, straightforward, to the point. I think the theme of gladiator war as a description and consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction explains a lot of it. The idea that desire corrupts judgment. I mean, these are simple concepts. I think that I've made the argument solidly. Like I said, you just take these simple thought experiments, the absence of happiness on Pluto versus the abundance of suffering on Mars as the example. What if we could do that? We could extract all the good things that happen to human beings, all their ambitions, all their pleasantness, put that on one planet, put all the suffering, the pain, the misery, the horror on another planet, and make it felt by different entities. So those Plutonians get all the good, and these guys over here get all the bad. Yeah, you'd pretty quickly say, those guys really aren't worth that guy. Those guys. That bad is no way worth that silly shit. Okay, enough said.